Okay, John, I think that's everybody in the room now.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, welcome back to the theater. I'm John Diaz, the Artistic Director of the Real Two River Theater. Here we are for virtual Two River Theater and the Two River Theater Players production of Romeo and Juliet. I don't know how many of you are new to this. I suspect from looking at the crowd out there that some of you are returners and you've been here for Acts 1, 2, and 3 of our virtual reading of Romeo and Juliet. We are now up to Act 4, obviously, and at the in just a minute, Sara Holdren, who's here with us playing Juliet, who many of you will remember from her most recent Two River accomplishment of Twelfth Night. She's going to give us a little recap of what you missed last week if you weren't here. But first, I thought it'd be good again to just go around and introduce everybody in the company, just to say the name of the actor and the part that they're playing today. A couple of people are playing some new characters and many others returning. So why don't we go around? I'll do that by going in order on my screen and start up here in the corner with Yurik.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yurik Lozano, and I'm Two Rivers Multimedia Manager, and I'll be playing Paris.
And Yurik, am I missing something with the ducks?
No, I just kind of felt festive today, and
festive is good.
It suits me, I think.
I wasn't sure if I was not in on the insider. Okay, good. Lovely to have you. Next, we have Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Espinoza, Education Community Engagement Manager at Two River, and I'm playing the second Servingman.
Awesome. And then Cam.
I'm Camila Bush, and I'm the artistic assistant, and I will be playing the first Servingman and the second musician.
And the second musician. Great. Okay. And then Kate.
Hi, I am Kate Cordaro. I'm the Director of Education at Two River, and I'll be playing the nurse.
Great. Dan?
Hi, I'm Dan Montano. I am the Sound Supervisor at Two River Theater, and I'll be playing Friar Lawrence today.
Great. Sara?
Hi, I'm Sara Holdren. I'm a director who has been lucky enough to do several things at Two River, and I'm playing Juliet.
Awesome. And Abbey.
Hi, I'm Abbey Smith. I'm a lighting and sound assistant at Two River, and I am playing Capulet.
Great. Mich.
Hi, I'm Mich Davis. I am the prop assistant here at Two River Theater. I am playing Servingman and third musician today.
And Duane.
Hi, I'm Duane Noch, master carpenter in the scene shop, and I'm playing Peter tonight.
Great. And lastly, Denyse.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mom. My name is Denyse Reed, and I'm the Director of Development here at Two River, and I'm playing Lady Capulet.
All right, then. We are all very well met and ready to begin, but let's just start with a bit of a recap, if we can, from Sara.
Sure. So if you missed the first 2 weeks, there were two feuding families, and the son of one and the daughter of the other got together, which is risky. If you missed last week, here are more details. So Mercutio and Benvolio were hanging out in the streets, and everybody was hot and moody. Tybalt of the Capulet family showed up and started to pick a fight. Romeo also showed up, fresh off of his wedding to Juliet, and he tried to keep the peace between Mercutio and Tybalt, but he ended up getting in the way and caused Tybalt to give Mercutio a fatal wound. This really riled Romeo up, and when Tybalt came back onto the scene, they fought and Romeo killed him. So we had two dead bodies, and Benvolio was all like, "You gotta get out of here, man." And Romeo was like, "Oh, I am fortune's fool," and he ran. The prince then showed up along with the Capulets, and the Capulets demanded Romeo's death for killing their kinsman Tybalt. The prince reminded them that Tybalt was also not exactly blameless in the whole scenario and sentenced Romeo in absentia to banishment. Then we jumped over to Juliet, who was chomping at the bit to make out with her new husband and to hear from the nurse on when he'd be showing up that night. And then we had a sort of tragic echo of the first nurse Juliet scene where Juliet is waiting for news from the nurse. And that first one is very sort of sweet and comic. And this one is very tragic. The nurse showed up and revealed what had gone down in the streets. And even though Juliet was sort of angry and terrified first at what Romeo had done, she vowed to stick with him and to stay his loyal now wife. And the nurse went off to find news of him at Friar Lawrence's cell. There at Friar Lawrence's, Romeo was a hot mess, especially after he learned that he was banished. The friar gave him some tough love, and he and the nurse convinced Romeo to go and spend that first and last night with Juliet, which they do. They get one wonderful, presumably glorious, and though we're inexperienced, night together. And then they have a beautiful departure scene as Romeo heads off for his banishment in Mantua, where the friar has promised that he will be in touch with him and make sure everything's okay. The last part of the act shows us Juliet's family showing up to tell her that she has to marry this young nobleman, Paris, within like a couple of days. When she says no, all hell breaks loose. Capulet practically disowns her. And when Juliet seeks help from her nurse and finds that her nurse also at this point thinks it's best that she give up Romeo and marry Paris, we can see her sort of steeling herself to go it alone. And by the end of the act, she is resolving to go off to Friar Lawrence's cell to find out how she can make her way back to Romeo or die trying.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Great. We are now going to launch into Act 4. I'm going to go away visually, but I will stick around orally and add in stage directions. All right. So, Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Friar Lawrence and County Paris.
On Thursday, sir. The time is very short.
My father Capulet will have it so, and I am nothing slow to slack his haste.
You say you do not know the lady's mind. Uneven is the course, I like it not.
Immoderately she weeps for Tybalt to death, and therefore have I little talk of love. For Venus smiles not in the house of tears. Now, sir, her father counts it dangerous that she do give her sorrow so much sway, and in his wisdom, haste our marriage to stop the inundation of her tears, which too, much minded by herself alone, may be put from her by society. Now do you know the reason of this haste?
I would I knew not why it should be slowed. Look, sir, here come the lady toward my cell.
Enter Juliet.
Happily met, my lady, and my wife.
That may be, sir, when I may be a wife.
That may be, must be, love, on Thursday next.
What must be, shall be.
That's a certain text.
Come you to make confession to this father?
To answer that, I should confess to you.
Do not deny to him that you love me.
I will confess to you that I love him.
So will you, I am sure, that you love me.
If I do so, it will be of more price being spoke behind your back than to your face.
Poor soul, thy face is much abused with tears.
The tears have got small victory by that, for it was bad enough before their spite.
Thou wrongst it more than tears with that report.
That is no slander, sir, which is a truth, and what I spake it to my face.
Thy face is mine, and thou hast slandered it.
It may be so, for it is not mine own. Are you at leisure, Holy Father, now, or shall I come to you at evening mass?
My leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. My lord, we must entreat the time alone.
God shield us should disturb devotion. Juliet, on Thursday early will I rouse you. Till then, adieu, and keep this holy kiss.
Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, come weep with me, past hope, past care, past help.
Oh, Juliet, I already know thy grief. It strains me past the compass of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next be married to this county.
Tell me not, friar, that thou hearest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If in thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution wise, and with this knife I'll help it presently. God joined my heart and Romeo's, thou our hands, and ere this hand by thee to Romeo's sealed shall be the label to another deed, or my true heart with treacherous revolt turn to another, this shall slay them both. Therefore, out of thy long experience time, give me some present counsel, or behold, twixt my extremes and me, this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honor bring. Be not so long to speak, I long to die, if what thou speak not of remedy.
Hold, daughter. I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate which we would prevent. If, rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then is it likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away this shame, that copest with death himself to escape from it? And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy.
Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of any tower, or walk in thievish ways, or bid me lurk where serpents are, chain me with roaring bears, or hide me in a nightly charnel house, or covered quite with dead men's rattling bones, with reeky shanks and yellow chapless skulls, or bid me go into a new-made grave, and hide me with a dead man in his shroud, things that to hear them told have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my sweet love.
Oh, then, go home. Be merry, give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone. Let not thy nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this vial. Take thou this vial, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor drink thou off, when presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, for no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. Thy roses and thy lips and cheeks shall fade to paly ashes. Thy eyes' windows fall like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part, deprived of supple government, shall stiff and stark and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then awake as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou dead. Then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes, uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift. And hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking. And that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua, and this shall free thee from this present shame, if no inconstant toy nor womanish fear abate thy valor in the acting of it.
Give me, tell me not of fear.
Hold, get you gone. Be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua with my letters to thy lord.
Oh, love, give me strength, and strength shall help afford. Farewell, dear father.
They exit in different directions. Scene 2. Enter Father Capulet, mother, nurse, and serving men.
So many guests invite as here are writ. Sara, go hire me 20 cunning cooks.
You shall have none ill, sir, for I'll try if thy can lick their fingers.
How canst thou try them so?
Marry, sir, 'tis an ill cook that cannot lick his own fingers, therefore he cannot lick his fingers, goes not with me.
Go, be gone. We shall be much unfurnished for this time. What, is my daughter gone to Friar Lawrence?
Aye, forsooth.
Well, he may chance do some good on her. A peevish, self-willed harlotry it is.
Enter Juliet.
See where she comes from shrift with merry look.
How now, my headstrong? Where have you been gadding?
Where I have learned me to repent the sin of disobedient opposition to you and your behests, and am enjoined by holy Lawrence to fall prostrate here to beg your pardon. Pardon, I beseech you. Henceforward, I am ever ruled by you.
Send for the county. Go tell him of this. I'll have this knot knit up tomorrow morning.
I met with the youthful lord at Lawrence's cell, and gave him what becomed love I might, not stepping o'er the bounds of modesty.
Why, I'm glad on it. This is well. Stand up. This is as should be. Let me see the county. I marry, go, I say, and fetch him hither. Now, afore God, with reverend holy friar, all our whole city is much bound to him.
Nurse, will you go with me to my closet to help me sort such needful ornaments as you think fit to furnish me tomorrow?
No, not till Thursday. There's time enough.
Go, nurse. Go with her. We will to church tomorrow.
Juliet and the nurse exit.
We shall be short in our provision. 'Tis now near night.
Tush, I will stir about, and all things shall be well, I warrant thee, wife. Go thou to Juliet. Help deck up her. I'll not to bed tonight. Let me alone. I'll play the housewife for this once. What ho! They are all forth. Well, I will walk myself to County Paris to prepare up him against tomorrow. My heart is wondrous light since this wayward girl is so reclaimed.
They exit. Scene 3. Enter Juliet and the nurse.
Aye, those attires are best. But gentle nurse, I pray thee, leave me to myself tonight, for I have need of many orisons to move the heavens to smile upon my state, which, well thou knowest, is cross and full of sin.
Enter Lady Capulet.
What? Are you busy, ho? Need my help?
No, madam. We have culled such necessaries as are behooveful for our state tomorrow. So please you, let me now be left alone, and let the nurse this night sit up with you, for I am sure you have your hands full all in this so sudden business.
Good night. Get thee to bed and rest, for thou hast need.
They exit.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! What should she do here? My dismal scene I needs must act alone. Come, vial. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No. This shall forbid it. Lie thou there. What if it be a poison, which the friar subtly hath ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonored because he married me to Romeo? I fear it is, and yet methinks it should not, for he hath still been tried a holy man. How if, when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? That's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Or, if I live, is it not very like the horrible conceit of death and night, together with the terror of the place, as in a vault an ancient receptacle, where for this many hundred years the bones of all my buried ancestors are packed, where bloody Tybalt, yet but green in earth, lies festering in his shroud, where, as they say, at some hours in the night spirits resort? Alack! Alack, is it not like that I, so early waking, with what loathsome smells and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth, that living mortals hearing them run mad. Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefathers' joints, and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage with some great kinsman's bone, as with a club, dash out my desperate brains? Oh, look, methinks I see my cousin's ghost, seeking out Romeo that did spit his body upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay! Romeo! 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 Here's drink. I drink to thee.
She drinks and falls upon her bed within the curtains. Scene 4, enter Lady Capulet and nurse.
Hold, take these keys and fetch more spices, nurse.
They call for dates and quinces in the pastry.
Enter old Capulet.
Come, stir, 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 the second cock hath crowed, the curfew bell hath rung, 'tis 3 o'clock. Look to the baked meats, good Angelica, spare not for cost.
Go, you cot queen, go. Get you to bed. Faith, you'll be sick tomorrow for this night's watching.
No, not a whit. What, I have watched ere now all night for lesser cause, and ne'er been sick.
Aye, you have been a mouse hunt in your time, but I will watch you from such watching now.
A jealous hood, a jealous hood.
Enter a few serving men with spits and logs and baskets.
Now, fellow, what is there?
Things for the cook, sir, but I know not what.
Make haste, make haste. Sara, fetch drier logs. Call Peter. He will show thee where they are.
I have a head, sir, that will find out logs and never trouble Peter for the matter.
Masson, well said. A merry whoreson. Thou shalt be loggerhead. Good faith, 'tis day. The Count will be here with music straight, for so he said he would. I hear him near. Nurse, wife, what ho, what nurse, I say? Go waken Juliet. Go and trim her up. I'll go and chat with Paris. Hi, make haste, make haste. The bridegroom, he has come already. Make haste, I say.
He exits. Scene 5, nurse approaches the bed.
Mistress. What, mistress? Juliet? Fast, I warrant her. She, why, lamb? Why, lady? Fie, you slug a bed. Why, love, I say. Madam, sweetheart, why? Bride? What, not a word? You take your pennyworth now. Sleep for a week. For the next night, I warrant, the county Paris hath set up his rest that you shall rest but little. God forgive me, Mary, and amen. How sound asleep she is. I must needs wake her. Madam, madam, madam. Aye, let the county take you in your bed. He'll fright you up in faith. Will it not be? What? Dressed and in your clothes. And down again. I must needs wake you. Lady, lady, lady. Alas. Alas! Help! Help! My lady's dead! Oh, where a day that ever I was born! Some aquavitae, oh! My lord! My lady!
Enter Lady Capulet.
What noise is here?
Oh! Lamentable day!
What's the matter?
Look! Look! Oh, heavy day!
Oh, me! Oh me, my child, my only life! Revive, look up, or I will die with thee! Help! Help! Call help!
Enter Lord Capulet.
For shame, bring Juliet forth, her lord is come.
She's dead. Deceased. She's dead. Alack the day.
Alack the day, she's dead. She's dead. She's dead.
Let me see her. Oh. Alas, she's cold. Her blood is settled and her joints are stiff. Life and these lips have long been separated. Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field.
Oh, lamentable day.
Oh, woeful time.
Death that hath taken her hence will make me wail, ties up my tongue and will not let me speak.
Enter Friar Lawrence and the County Paris with musicians.
Come, is the bride ready to go to church?
Ready to go, but never to return. O son, the night before thy wedding day hath death lain with thy wife. There she lies, flower as she was, deflowered by him. Death is my son-in-law, death is my heir. My daughter he hath wedded, I will die and leave him all. Life, living, all is death's.
Have I thought so long to see this morning's face? And doth it give me such a sight as this?
Accursed, unhappy, wretched, hateful day. Most miserable hour that ever time saw, in lasting labor of this his pilgrimage. But one poor loving child, but one thing to rejoice and solace in. And cruel death hath catched it from my sight.
No. Oh, woe. Oh, woeful, woeful day. Most lamentable day, most woeful day that ever I did yet behold. Oh, day, oh day, oh day, oh hateful day. Never was seen so black a day as this. Oh, woeful day. Oh, woeful day.
Beguiled, divorced, wronged, spited, slain, more detestable death by thee beguiled, by cruel thee quite overthrown. O love, O life, not life, but love in death.
Despised, distressed, hated, martyred, killed. Uncomfortable time. Why camest thou now to murder our solemnity? Oh, child, my soul, and not my child. Dead art thou. Alack, my child is dead, and with my child my joys are buried.
Peace. Oh, for shame. Confusion's cure lives not in these confusions. Heaven and yourself had part in this fair maid. Now heaven hath all, and all the better is it for the maid. Your part in her you could not keep from death, but heaven keeps his part in eternal life. The most you sought was her promotion, for 'twas your heaven she should be advanced. And weep you now, seeing she is advanced above the clouds as high as heaven itself. Oh, in this love, you love your child so ill that you run mad, seeing that she is well. She's not well married that lives married long, but she's best married that dies married young. Dry up your tears and stick your rosemary on this fair course, and as the custom is, and in her best array, bear her to church. For though fond nature bids us all lament, yet nature's tears are reason's merriment.
All things that we ordain at festival turn from their office to black funeral. Our instruments to melancholy bells, our wedding cheer to a sad burial feast. Our solemn hymns to sullen dirges change. Our bridal flowers serve for a buried corse. And all things change them to contrary.
Sir, go you in, and madam, go with him, and go, Sir Paris, everyone, prepare to follow this fair course onto her grave. The heavens do lower upon you for some ill. Move them no more by crossing their high will.
All but the nurse and the musicians exit.
Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Honest, good fellows. Put up. For well you know it is a pitiful case.
Aye, by my troth, the case may be amended.
The nurse exits and Peter enters.
Musicians, oh musicians, heart's ease, heart's ease. Oh, and you will have me live, play heart's ease.
Why heart's ease?
Oh, musicians, because my heart itself plays, my heart is full. Oh, play me some merry dump to comfort me.
Not a dump, we. 'Tis no time to play now.
You will not, then?
No.
I will give it you soundly.
What will you give us?
No money, on my faith, but the gleek. I will give you the minstrel.
Then I will give you the serving creature.
Then I will lay the serving creature's dagger on your pate. I will carry no crotchets. I will ray you and I'll faw you. Do you note me?
Oh, you ray us and fa us. You note us.
Pray you, put up your dagger and put out your wit.
Then have at you with my wit. I will dry beat you with an iron wit and put up my iron dagger. Answer me like men. When gripping griefs the heart doth wound, and doleful dumps the mind oppress, then music with her silver sound, Why silver sound? Why music with her silver sound? What say you, Simon Cadling?
Marry, sir, because silver hath a sweet sound.
Prince, what say you, Hugh Rabick?
I say silver sound because musicians sound for silver.
Great, too. What say you, James Soundpost?
Faith, I know not what to say.
Oh, I cry you mercy. You are the singer, I will say for you. It is music with her silver sound because musicians have no gold for sounding. Then music with her silver sound, with speedy help doth lend redress.
He exits.
What a pestilent knave is this same?
Hang him, Jack. Come, we'll in here. Tarry for the mourners and stay dinner.
They all exit. End of Act 4. Yay! Juliet, you can come back to life for intermission. Come on back, everyone. Hey. Sarah, I love being reminded the whole while that you were dead there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what y'all think, but just fascinating in the writing that it gets. I mean, in the movement of that scene, it gets truly so almost Greek in its mourning, the passion of its mourning, and all of that geschrying going on with everybody. And there she is dead, we think, and then Peter comes on and starts making bad musician jokes, you know, over her dead body. Wild. Yeah. Yes, you're getting a bunch of applauses, everybody, as are deserved. Everybody in the audience who's been here before, you know, at this point, we love to just chat a little bit about what we've performed so far. Anything that the actors have noticed or find unusual or interesting or question or make a comment, happy to hear. But also anybody in the audience who wants to make a comment or ask a question, we have the group chat there. If you haven't used that before, you just open up that chat button down below and type a question in there, or comment, and we'll get to that. But how about you, you folks in the company? Anything you noticed or questioned or?
I mean,
I will, yeah.
I'm just going to say,
Christian, please.
Just the interesting quirk of the medium, because as we got into the musician part of this whole thing, my script, which is on my screen, decided we're not going to load. You'll be fine.
Ah.
That was terrifying. That was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done as an actor. So, interesting quirk of the medium.
Wait, so you had those lines memorized?
For part of it, apparently, yeah, from my earlier today. And then it came back, thankfully, before Duane started singing there. But
I thought you were going to say that, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but we had a little bit of music happening.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Music.
Sorry about that.
Yes, that was it. I thought another quirk of the liveness of it all. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Little live theater.
Yes. Anybody else?
Got some people coming from Friar Lawrence in the chat.
Would you read one to us, Sarah? I'm not seeing.
So Beth says that we've been giving them crap for being young, but Juliet begs the father to use his wisdom to help her, and this is his genius plan. And then Carol says that the act seems to belong to Friar Lawrence, and he's kind of the author of all these schemes, but the schemes aren't very successful. And she asks, is Shakespeare saying something about the church here? Is it smart to go to a priest and ask for advice about your love life?
Yeah, good question. I wonder, I've never thought of Shakespeare saying something. I wonder if you mean by saying something, if you mean some kind of criticism or something of the church. I hadn't thought in those terms. Anybody else? I mean, it is true that he is kind of the puppeteer of it all here. And his scheme seems to come somewhat extempore. And it seems to be an inspiration maybe that comes from her. I love when he says, if you are, as it seems, so willing to die as you are with that knife in your hand. Thank you, Sarah, for your knife reminding us that. But that, then you could perhaps then die as part of our plan here.
Well, I've
I
always
love the
found
immediacy of that. Yeah.
Yes, he's a priest, but I don't know, it's interesting to me because I feel like, Shakespeare in general sits at this sort of interesting period of time where Christianity and paganism are both really present in the works. And the first time we ever meet him, he's telling us all about plants, which feels very kind of not quite of a Judeo-Christian tradition and more of a sort of I don't know, Anglo-pagan tradition.
Yeah.
And I think he's got that's maybe part of where the plan comes from, is that that's his expertise and and he knows what these things can do. But I also think that just he's a priest, but I think there's a reason that the two like him. I think that he's got a romantic streak, and he's got a, he's not a square, there's something really sort of appealing about him, and something imaginative, and it doesn't, it all goes to hell, but the fact that he's sort of willing to join them in in their stakes, I feel must be incredibly, it felt incredibly comforting to me, in the scene. I was really thankful for him.
Yeah, I've always felt like Shakespeare has more been setting up something perhaps religious, spiritual, but about the fatherness of him.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the other fathers are not really fathers to this love, fathers to this possibility here, and that he has to kind of father that. And that there's something, there's maybe something sort of creatively spiritually creative about that. Yeah.
I think it's hard for us to these days to appreciate the fact that people went to priests and pastors and spiritual advisors often for advice because they were more learned, for one thing, and they were kinder. Right. And the fathers, Capulet has a lot of other interests, financial being one of them, and that he's worried about rather than his daughter's happiness.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, this is pre-Freudian. So, you wouldn't go to some kind of therapist or a love counselor or something. You go to the church. Yeah.
I feel that he is a victim of this fate that washes over these people as well. At this point.
Yeah.
There's also something really sad about I think it's true that he is like the surrogate father, like the father that they don't sort of have, but by that same count, like the nurse up until the end of the last act, I think is like also the mother. And there's a really I think it's incredibly heartbreaking at the end of Act 3 when Juliet sort of feels abandoned by her and like resolves to go it alone. Who knows what would have happened if if instead of sort of cutting her off, she'd said help me in this next step of the plan, I don't know, there's a really tragic split there to me.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Duane.
Do you think it ends with the musician scene to help people remember she's not really dead?
That's a good question. You wonder about how it's getting staged and what all the storytelling that's
or if it's getting staged.
Well, there's that. Yes, there is that. Yes, but no. I was thinking that for sure. I don't know that I can remember having seen that actually staged. It mainly gets cut. But I was also thinking how the whole of the thing gets staged, Sarah. Your staging idea, I kind of like that we are seeing her there the whole while. Mm-hmm. Is that something, let's ask you, is that something you could imagine is how you would want to end the act if you were in the Recknitz Theater? How would we, with the curtain on her bed, would there be one, do you think? Do you want to see that body?
I think I do want to see her body. Yeah. I mean, it was, the reason I did it this time around was, because I'm having fun in Zoom theater land, but also because I was I thought it would be interesting as an actor to get the sense of how long she actually lies there. Which is 2 whole scenes. And yeah, I mean, I do feel like I would want to see her body somehow. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think there's something really I cannot say as a director that I would be super interested in going into the great miracles that might come from staging that musician scene. I'm not gonna lie, but I do think there's something, it's the way there are different resonances in that Porter scene in Macbeth, right? It's there can be something, it can just be sort of very low comedy that comes in a moment of, the groundlings have gotten antsy and let's give them something, or there can be other things in it, and maybe like even the fact that it's sort of low comedy just being staged around a dead body is like, there's a dissonance in that that's interesting.
Yeah, well, the musicians are not having it from him, you know. They're not in for the wit. So there's a dissonance inside it. There have been some interesting comments that I just wanted to point out to everybody. Beth says this thing a few minutes ago. After this reading so far, what I'm noticing most about the play is the pace. It's not just the young people who react so quickly to everything, even all of this effort to move the wedding even sooner. Why can no one pause and take a breath? I'm wondering if I'm feeling this now as life's pace has slowed so much. Interesting observation and comment. I too felt like, and I've been feeling this a lot in this play, I don't know if you all have, but we talked about this, I think, every time, just rhythm and time seem to play such a part in the, you know, in the sort of the way that the play meets out, both story and just action. I noticed that. I feel like that scene of everybody having a chance again to sort of cry over her dead body that just went on for such a long time. Again, I think I've never seen that played out every word of that in a production that I've ever seen. I think that gets cut and trimmed a lot. But it felt to me interesting in a way, with what Beth's saying, but almost sort of the opposite, that felt like we took such a long time to move through the breadth of that grief from everybody that it started to feel a little bit like it could get melodramatic or something, or it could get to be too much. But maybe the too much of it is actually the point. Maybe that's, and again, in the way, the sort of the dissonance, it's like you're saying, Sarah, like if we hear and feel all of that and the real truth of that, and we are moved by that deep pain for a good long while, knowing that she's not actually dead, maybe there's something that he's really playing with on us there too. But
I've never been more wanting of blocking than in that scene. Like there's so right, like it's sitting here still is not.
Well, it's interesting because Joanna asks, I think, a very interesting question again about our medium that we're in. She wonders, for the actors, how do you overcome remoteness of this medium to connect with the other players in such an emotionally charged act? I think that's what you're getting at there, Kate, right?
Well, for me, it was coming into the room where Juliet is behind the curtain, and all of that time that she spends trying to wake her up, right? Like that, I could just see her like in the room doing the opening the curtains to the windows and doing the, you know, all the things. But again, it's like I don't feel like the remoteness of it because it's just so well written. Like it's right there. So
if you ride the words there of what is happening, you could probably, I could feel it in you. You could all start to actually make that real, make that manifest, those feelings, those discoveries of the thoughts.
You know, everyone, I can speak for myself, but everyone's on high emotion right now, so it's really not that hard. And to see Sarah, you know, as like, you know, I'm the director of development here. I don't consider myself an artist, but like the commitment that you're putting into this is just so enjoyable, and I just miss it so much. I miss it. So thank you so much. It's not that hard, Joanna, to feel all the emotions and all the feels right now.
And if I can just interrupt Katie Benson's voice on high, as another person in development, it means so much just to be able to come in and see some of my staff members who I don't get to see regularly. So this is the one time. So the emotions are kind of right there. It's joyous.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard. There all the remotenesses, all the disconnections. But I guess in part, I think what Denyse and Kate are saying to some extent is if you trust in what is there, that even through digital, virtual worlds, we still do, our need to connect and our need to make the sense is so overpowering and just so instinctual that, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to meet the need. Okay, somebody says, I'm just looking at this last one, this excellent, I'm just going to read it. Excellent observation from Barry. The play builds a tension between the priest who believes a divinity shapes our ends and the accidents of fate that doom the lovers. Juliet's great doubt whether she's retaking real poison is a doubt about love and the friar's triumph, about love's and the friar's triumph. Yes, right. The tension, I mean, the tension of that fate and the accidents of fate. I was thinking about today, I read, where was it? I read it, in the New Yorker. Did anybody see that nice piece about Shakespeare and the Plague in the New Yorker? I forget who wrote it. A really lovely piece.
Stephen Greenblatt, isn't it?
Stephen Greenblatt, exactly. It was Greenblatt, yeah. But just about how much the plague must have just been a way of life, and isolation and quarantine and fear of death in this way must have been such a way of life for Shakespeare. But interestingly, he didn't spend much time telling us stories about it or putting it into the plays. And in fact, Romeo and Juliet is the only play where the existence of a plague actually plays a huge part in the plot. But otherwise, the notions of plague were just so everyday that they show up as metaphors throughout the plays. But it got me to thinking about something we talked about last time, about the reminder from Mercutio about a plague on both your houses, and just the prophecy that is so steeped in this play, that begins with the beginning and the prologue and the chorus, that we can say what we know is going to happen, but that doesn't mean that we won't try to avert fate from happening. And just to be thinking that there's a kind of fate that Mercutio even reminded us of, is that the plague will get you. Even though these two lovers haven't died literally from the plague, but we will see in the next act how the plague itself leads to their deaths.
Yeah, and the decline of the postal service, just like right now.
Exactly. Yes. That's right. Good. Let's see. Do we have any other questions from the audience? I see Beth says here that moment right before she takes the poison, she's starting to lose it a bit. How did we feel about that?
You feel about it, Beth.
Exactly. I was just going to say that, Beth. I mean, I feel like I know how Sara felt about it. That felt like a real, that did feel like a real kind of losing hold onto faith and her belief in this, like potentially losing hold.
Yeah, I mean, somebody put in the chat earlier, I'm looking for it. Joyce said that bit reminded her of like an Edgar Allan Poe horror story where like somebody is buried alive, and I love that. I feel like that's I feel like that is really where my mind as Juliet was, this kind of like let's see, she debates for so long, felt like the first slowed down of pace for me, but then hurriedly just takes it as her brain starts getting, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Like, I feel like there's this, she's very smart, but she's also 13. And like, you know, to me, there's almost this sort of like, you know, what was that show? Like, you know, now for the, you know, the acceptance of the Midnight Society, like here's, you know, like, I mean, I feel like there's something, you know, happening at the end there where she like spooks herself, you know, where like, I mean, I remember like being pretty young in my childhood bedroom and like literally not being able to go to sleep because I was like, somebody's in the closet with a knife. Like, this is just something that like my brain decided to make up, you know? And like, I think there's something about like, I don't know, like, I guess for me, there was something really fascinating about the collision of how smart she is and how fast her brain works and how quickly it moves from thing to thing with like the sort of like terror and like massive imaginative capacity that comes with being very young and very like, you know, full of sort of stories, both of romance and of horror, you know? And yeah, just, I mean, exactly like Beth is writing right here, sort of like getting swept off by my own brain at the end. And it's cool. I kind of love how like that like, I didn't really realize until we started reading this, how many times like, oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Romeo, Romeo is sort of like that. It's like, that's not the only time that's said in the play. Like his name is sort of conjured multiple times. I feel like this is at least the third that someone has, you know, said it more than once. And it, yeah, like, so there was, and it was like, you know, it was a kind of, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I felt really, I felt, just like Beth is saying, I felt like swept along by it. Yeah.
You know, that Romeo thing, this is, I mean, this is not necessarily what an actor can play, so I'm not suggesting it would be that, but from an audience's point of view, and maybe from a kind of literary, critical, or dramaturgical point of view, I feel like the other thing about that moment for Juliet that I love is that the play really plays on these ideas of repetition and rhyme, and that thing that we love that rhyme does, which is it sets something up and we kind of know before the rhymed part happens, we know that the rhymed part is coming. And there's a deliciousness in that dynamic of knowing that that's going to come. And in a way, prophecy sort of works like that. You know, it's like we get, because I feel like what she's describing is what then happens, in a way, you know, and what we then see. And so she's sort of setting up the first part of the rhyme of it by seeing the prophecy of it.
Well, and she's not gonna, like that beautiful, like the beginning of that long speech, like farewell, like heaven knows or Lord knows when we shall meet again or something like that. I mean, she's like not actually gonna see any of them ever again. And she is gonna see Romeo again, but only in the context of like literally what she prophesied in the last time she saw him, which was like, methinks I see thee now, thou art so low as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Like that is exactly how she will see him.
And she'll see Tybalt as she imagines seeing Tybalt.
Exactly. Yeah, she's got a little witchiness. Like, I don't know, I'm into it.
Let's see. Anybody else have any final questions and or words of wisdom? Although I think there have been many wise words said and thrown out there for us all. Thank you, audience out there. We wish we could see and touch and breathe the same air with you. But as we've sort of been saying, yes, the connections feel remote, but we, all of us, I don't know, I think I'll speak for everybody here as part of Two River, we feel like a connection exists with you, our audience, and we'll just keep living on the hope that it will actually become actual and not just all this virtual someday very soon. But before that day, I'm sure we will look forward to seeing this marvelous group of people finish our play for us next week, same time, same channel, for Act 5 of Romeo and Juliet. And so from all of us to all of you, I say stay well.
Back from the bar.
And Romeo is back, yes. Our tailor is actually he's in visiting some family in Mantua. If Mantua were actually in the state of Maine. and he is driving back from there tonight. So he'll be back with us next week. So, but we thought this would be a good week for him to be banished, almost literally. So, all right. Thank you all. Take care of yourselves. Sending lots of love, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.